A new study warns South Korea's population could shrink by a staggering 85% over the next century, raising alarms about its demographic future.
Imagine a nation bustling with life, slowly emptying, cities quieting, schools closing, homes abandoned. This could be South Korea's future by 2124. The report, published by the Korea Development Institute, paints a bleak picture. Fertility rates are crashing, and aging is accelerating faster than ever before.
South Korea already has the world's lowest birth rate, just 0.72 children per woman. Far below the 2.1 needed to sustain a population. What happens when a country runs out of people? It's not just numbers, it's culture, community, and continuity on the brink of disappearance.
If trends continue, South Korea's population could drop from 51 million to just 7 million by the year 2124. A demographic collapse. This isn't a sci-fi scenario. The data is real. Without significant changes, South Korea faces a future unlike anything in its modern history.
Urban centers like Seoul could become ghost cities. Skyscrapers and subways, once vibrant, might echo with emptiness. This isn't just about numbers. It's about the survival of our national identity, says Dr. Min Jae, a demography expert at KDI. The Korean government is urgently launching policies, childcare subsidies, housing incentives, and fertility campaigns, but are they enough? Why aren't Koreans having kids? Is it just money, or is there something deeper in society that's pushing birth rates to near zero?
Many young Koreans cite high costs, long work hours, and lack of affordable housing as reasons for delaying, or avoiding, parenthood altogether.
The pressure is immense. One-bedroom apartments in Seoul cost more than homes in parts of Europe. Raising a child? It's a financial mountain. I can barely afford my rent. How can I raise a baby? Asks 29-year-old Seo Jin, a freelance designer living in Seoul.
South Korea is now labeled a super-aged society, where over 20% of the population is over 65. By 2060, that could be 45%.
An aging nation means a shrinking workforce. More retirees, fewer workers, collapsing tax revenues, and skyrocketing healthcare costs.
Economists warn that South Korea's GDP could be cut in half within decades if current birth trends continue without correction.
Some tech firms are pushing automation, robots replacing workers in factories and stores, but can machines really save the economy? Tech helps, but it's no substitute for people. We need young families, says Park, CEO of a Seoul-based robotics startup. Japan faced similar trends, but even its steep decline wasn't this sharp. Why is South Korea's curve so dramatic and irreversible? Cultural shifts are playing a role. Marriage is often delayed or dismissed. Many couples now choose freedom over family.
Even the word Hyeljosian, a popular phrase among youth, reflects their disillusionment with work, wages, and the future. Once a symbol of global progress, South Korea now wrestles with the paradox of prosperity without people.
Korea's government has invested billions into reversing the trend. From dating apps to fertility bonuses, every strategy is on the table. In Busan, couples are offered free IVF, rent-free apartments, and even baby bonuses, but results remain disappointingly low. It's not about money. It's about time and freedom. I don't want to lose my life to parenting, says Choi, 33. If the youth reject traditional family roles, what replaces the foundation of society? Is a new model of population stability possible?
Schools are already merging or closing due to low enrollment. Teachers face layoffs, and entire campuses sit empty.
Meanwhile, rural towns are vanishing. With no births and aging residents, some villages have fewer than 10 people left.
In Gangwon Province, officials offer cash just for moving in. Yet homes remain empty, roads quiet, schools closed.
We are witnessing the death of towns, says Mayor Lee of an aging mountain village. No children. No future. International experts now refer to South Korea as the first test case of post-population modernity. Could this be a preview for other nations? Italy, China, and Japan are all showing early signs of the same demographic trend.
Some scholars argue we must rethink growth. Not every country will be able to sustain a rising population. What if decline becomes the norm? But for South Korea, time is running out. Without a radical shift, 85% of its citizens could vanish by the next century.
Tech-savvy youth, globalized values, and alternative family models might offer a new path, but it's untested and uncertain. We must imagine society not just growing, but stabilizing, thriving with fewer people, says Dr. Han, a futurist. South Korea stands at a crossroads: embrace radical social innovation, or face an irreversible demographic collapse.
The next 20 years will decide everything. Policies made now will echo for generations, or disappear with them. This isn't science fiction. This is South Korea's real, approaching future. And the world is watching.
As policies stall and youth disengage, experts warn South Korea might face irreversible decline before the century turns. The clock is ticking on a vanishing generation.
Every year lost is a decade harder to recover. Without rapid change, the foundations of Korean society could crumble within 1 or 2 generations. Researchers highlight that even aggressive immigration won't fully offset the decline. The numbers are too steep, the social barriers too high.
Could South Korea embrace radical transformation, open borders, universal childcare, and a lifestyle revolution, or will tradition pull it back into silence? The pressure to marry, to parent, it's crushing. We need freedom, not incentives, says Ji-hoon, a 32-year-old software engineer. New startups are rising with bold missions: build family-friendly workplaces, subsidize housing, and rebrand parenting as joy instead of burden. But deep societal expectations remain. Women, especially, face impossible choices between career success and motherhood.
South Korea ranks among the lowest in gender equality among developed nations. That imbalance drives much of the population crisis.
I left my job after my second child. My husband didn't. That's the reality for most of us, says Hee Young, a former marketing director. Can a society truly change its soul? Or will it be dragged by centuries of cultural inertia toward demographic collapse?
Demographic decline isn't silent, it's visible in empty train seats, shuttered schools, silent playgrounds, and aging hospitals.
The National Assembly is flooded with emergency proposals, paid parental leave, national dating campaigns, and youth tax breaks.
Yet fertility remains low. Why? Because fixing population isn't about policies alone, it's about trust, security, and reshaping the future.
Some rural provinces are experimenting with smart villages, where tech and tradition blend to create attractive lifestyles for young couples. We gave away homes, jobs, even livestock. Still, it's not enough. Culture must change, says Mayor Eun-soo of North Jeolla. Schools now run virtual students to justify their budgets, using AI to simulate classrooms while halls remain empty. A ghost school with digital voices. A playground with no laughter. Is this the twilight of Korea's vibrant youth?
Military service, once a rite of passage, now faces recruitment shortages. The army is shrinking, not by choice, but by math. A nation built on discipline and resilience, now threatened not by war or disaster, but the quiet absence of birth.
In 1970, Korea averaged 6 births per woman. By 2024, it's below 1. The steepest fall in human history. We used to fear overpopulation. Now we fear extinction, says Professor Kwon, a population scientist. In universities, entire departments are now devoted to demographic innovation, from AI matchmaking to robotic caregiving.
But even science has limits. The issue is deeply human, about love, fear, freedom, and what it means to raise a child in modern Korea.
Korea isn't alone. Europe, Japan, even parts of the US are grappling with similar futures. But Korea's fall is the fastest and sharpest. What if a country chooses to shrink, not accidentally, but deliberately, to embrace a smaller, more sustainable way of living?
It's a controversial idea. Stop chasing growth and focus instead on happiness, health, and dignity, even in decline.
It's not just about survival. It's about reimagining the nation's purpose, says Dr. Yun, a policy futurist. Some influencers are now celebrating singlehood, adoption, and community parenting as valid alternatives to the nuclear family. The online movement #LiveDifferentKorea has gained millions of views, promoting balance over burnout and self-worth over sacrifice.
Yet critics warn that such campaigns may delay action, normalizing decline instead of reversing it.
What future awaits a nation without children? What replaces the rituals, holidays, and stories built around family life?
Elderly citizens outnumber newborns 20-1. Funeral homes outpace delivery wards. Time flows backward.
My kindergarten closed. Then my middle school. I haven't seen a child in my neighborhood in years, says Min-soo, age 62. With every passing year, South Korea's demographic curve dips deeper. The bottom is not yet reached, but the fall is accelerating.
The implications go far beyond numbers. National defense, economic competitiveness, innovation, even diplomacy are tied to population strength.
Global observers watch South Korea as a real-time case study, what works, what fails, and what the future might hold. Could South Korea become the first country to collapse peacefully, not by war, but by quiet withdrawal from birth?
The question is no longer if, but when, society will break under the weight of demographic imbalance.
Hope is not lost. But action must be radical, not polite, insists Dr. Nam, a former health minister. As the second century approaches, South Korea must choose, resist the decline or redefine what it means to endure. As 2124 draws closer, South Korea's destiny hinges on today's choices. The next chapter will be written not in policy papers, but in people's lives.
A nation once rebuilt from war now faces a different kind of collapse, not explosive, but silent, intimate, and deeply human. Schools turned into care centers. Maternity wards replaced by retirement homes. The transformation is happening in plain sight, yet many refuse to look.
What stories will future generations tell of this era, the time when people stopped creating more people? I love my country. But sometimes, I wonder if there will be anyone left to inherit it, says 27-year-old Seo Jun, a civil engineer. Hope lies not just in birth, but in innovation, community, and the courage to redefine what makes a society truly thrive. The crisis has sparked unlikely heroes, educators, creators, single parents, reformers, all daring to dream of a different future.
The battle is no longer about survival. It's about legacy, meaning, and preserving the soul of a nation before it fades. South Korea stands on a razor's edge. The decisions made now will echo through the halls of history, or be lost in silence.
This is not the end, but a warning. A whisper from the future, asking, what will you do, before it's too late?